That's always been very difficult, isn't it? This sound thing, making yourself ready and everything.
Yes, it has.
Hello, I'm Rod Lucas. Welcome along to Voiceover Courses and another little chat with this young lady. This is Vernoica Tinkler, and she's had a particularly good day today. Must be feeling pretty pleased with herself because we've gone some real long distances today with scripting and stuff. So she's got her vaping machine here,
Oh, yes, look.
which is interesting. It's not necessary equipment for being a voice artist, but yes. Did you enjoy it?
What, this or the voiceover?
No, the voicing thing with Mr. Lucas.
Absolutely brilliant. Exhausting, learnt huge amounts. Nerves, I've been shaking quite a bit, but wouldn't have missed this for the world. Absolutely.
I didn't see you shake, but anyhow, she's just saying that. But she was wonderful, and you've really got it in you. I mean, it is my belief that you've either got this or you really haven't got it. You've got great timing.
Thank you.
You have got. I told you that, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. Yes.
You've got great timing, and you have a great voice. Oh, we should have brought the Titanic script in, shouldn't we? I'd love to get you to do that for everyone watching this now.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. I'll do it.
Yeah. Do you know where that script is?
Yes.
Oh, well.
Shall I go and get it?
Yeah, go and get it, and I'll just have a quick chat with the camera.
Yes,
Go on,
okay.
sorry, keep rolling. It's all right. Go on then. That's it. On these voiceover courses, I should have asked her to bring that in beforehand, didn't I? We'll keep rolling. On these voiceover courses, I take you through lots of different voicing. Fast, animated, soft. In the modern day world of documentary reads, it's a very light touch. Documentary reads is fascinating because as early as I can remember, the 50s was very precise out of the war, where they used to talk like that the whole of the time and shout to the microphone. In the war day, it's been a very interesting time for Mr. Churchill, and he saw Mr. Roosevelt as they met at Buckingham Palace. It wasn't work all the day. I mean, they spent some time having a nice time at the garden party. Welcome back.
Thank you.
And documentary reads nowadays is a very light touch thing. So that's why sometimes actors don't make very good narrators for radio or TV. They tend to over-egg the omelette. Do you know what I mean by that?
I think so, yes.
Right. Being too affected by, I'm a voiceover reader. I better sound like one. And newsreaders are a bit like that. I'm reading the news. Better sound like I'm reading the news on ITN at 6 o'clock. Tonight the Prime Minister says he doesn't want to be Prime Minister. So they put this kind of voice on. They are lost in the moment. They're like believing their own publicity, if you like. We want it light touch. I hope that makes sense at home. But anyhow, Veronica's been through that today. We've learned a lot of different voicing. Sometimes I try a little script, which is one of my favourites, either Dr. Crippen or Titanic. Because the Titanic script that I have here is a very modern-day subject, as you know. It's still very popular. And to get this bit right of reading Titanic is a very, very specialised thing to do. It's got to be light, unaffected. I probably would never get an actor to read this. They'd be embroiling it too much. They'd be too dramatic, and I don't want that. Modern-day documentary reads on BBC Two or Channel 4 or the Discovery Channel are light on the touch. So what I was saying before when you were away is documentary reads have gone very, very mellow nowadays. And from the 40s, then went into the 50s, so it was still a bit loud. We had the 60s, where it's more working guy doing adverts, Mr. Normal next door with his Ford Cortina for 1975, and then the 80s it went it kind of went a bit beigey. The 90s was different, and then we are where we are now, where it's a light touch. People want a light touch. We don't want to be consumed by being aware that there's even a voice reading it. So in female terms, I like Tara Fitzgerald, Leslie Dunlop, Juliet Stevenson. I like, although I sometimes think she's too voiceovery. She knows she's got a lovely voice. Anyhow, and there are great male readers too. Generally the light touch, and I think you've got the light touch. But I said to you, you sound like Rulenenska meets Marilla Frustra, right? And of course the things I think they have in common, along with Honor Blackman, is they like smoking fags, cigarettes, and that's precisely what you like doing. So I don't advocate it. People do have a lower resonant voice, as in Richard Burton, with a lower register, and that is as a consequence of smoking. But anyhow, you've got this little script here, the Titanic, which you just brought in from the office.
Yes.
Why don't you just go to that mic? Well, I'll just read it there. Just read it there.
Just the top first paragraph.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, just keep going. I'll tell you to stop.
Okay.
I just wanted you to get a bit of a feel about how unaffected. So this is everything we learned, just unaffected, and you're just reading it to me. Who's ever watching?
On that fateful night of April the 14th, 1912, there were 2,235 souls crowded aboard the RMS Titanic. There was no wind to speak of. The frigid, dark sea was calm, like a plate glass mirror beneath the star-spangled heavens. It was an hour before midnight on a starry, moonless night. While the band played on beneath the decks in the first-class lounge, and while the night watch placed the bridge high above, the greatest maritime tragedy in the history of sailing stealthily, silently awaited them in the ice-strewn midnight waters of the North Atlantic. Survivors recalled a gentle shudder that briefly shook the 900-foot-long vessel. It came and went so quickly that nobody gave it much of a second thought, except for the occupants of the bridge, who in the split seconds before that collision saw the towering iceberg ahead, floating in their unlighted pathway. The helmsman swerved to miss the iceberg, but they'd have been better off to have struck it head-on. In narrowly avoiding a head-on collision, they suffered an even worse fate.
They suffered an even worse fate. Nuances on certain words, changes. That was nice. Unaffected. If you had that close to a mic, which we're not, a nice soft voice, unaffected that I'm a voiceover reading that. That would sound great. You got the picture of the Titanic, if it was a dramatised series, documentary, whatever, in the midnight waters of the North Atlantic. Maybe some minimalistic music, Philip Glass or something, or maybe no music. Just the mood set, the guys looking out, and the voice lightly sitting on track. Without it being too embroidered, too much effects in the voice. It was a starless moonlit night. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Hey, Harry, that was great on the stage, love, but this is media, radio, television. Give me a light touch. Anyhow, that's the effect that I would be looking for. And well done for reading that now.
Thank you.
Well done. Have another vape.
I will in a minute.
We have talked and talked. I couldn't shut her up, and she kept talking and talking. Can you believe that? That is the postman. That is the postwoman coming down. So we're going to get some thoughts in a minute. Anyhow, we talked, and we went into the studio and we did lots of reading and going through scripts, some that worked, some that didn't, some that we wanted to include. Lots of working on lots of different scripts, plus some stuff you brought yourself. Because actually you're into bespoke, super designing jewellery.
Oh, yes.
Which is called what?
Chainmail jewellery.
Not too dissimilar from what we're doing. A sensitive touch, getting it right. You will actually make the jewellery, but you also make the rings as well, don't you?
Yes, I make all the rings. Each individual ring makes a weave, and all different colours and sizes.
Well, so the two actually aren't too dissimilar in some senses. We're working on a project, and like these things, you can go over the top. We want it plain and simple. We want to communicate the message rather than for effect. Is this message getting through? Or are too many people listening to my lovely voice, or listening to his lovely voice or her lovely voice? Is the message getting through? That's what we want in the UK for light, soft voices. And we don't want the jewellery with too much colour blaze, do we? No. I don't know.
Well, sometimes you need dramatic pieces, and other times it needs to be noticeable but subtle.
Yeah, like I was saying. No, but, it's being creative. And actually, doing voices, you don't have to be too creative. But we were also talking today that some of the clients you'll be working for are members of the public who know that they want a voice, but don't know the procedure in the traditional ways in broadcasting getting a voice, like through an agent and the rest of it. So people will come to you and seeking, if you do voiceovers too, your advice on how their script should sound. So it's just not using your voice. It's just not recording. Sometimes you're looking, I won't say the word vet, but you're helping them to improve the communication skill for the written word as opposed to the word that you read. This is the word that you hear through radio and TV that isn't being read. And adverts that are read are very different from the adverts in the way that you write them from what you hear. And that's one of the things. Because when you're out there, you are a sound engineer. As we've been talking about sound, it's just as important knowing microphones and how they work and levels and what calibration you're going to send the sound file to someone on an MP3, or is it a WAV, or is it an OGG, or whatever. That's important, just as important. No point in having a great voice and recording something if you don't know what to do with it.
No, I mean, you were...
Do you know what to do with it?
I do now.
Yeah, she does.
Before I came, every time I thought of it, I thought, I'm just not going to be able to do it. I just won't. But you've talked me through, and when I get my stuff, I'm looking forward to having fun with it and experimenting, and it's not worrying me now. It's exciting.
The technical bits, I think that does put people off, doesn't it?
Yeah, the technical bits now don't worry me. They're exciting me. I want to get my stuff and practice.
So if I wanted your voice, what sort of MP3 would you send me then?
I would send you probably the
just
lower
a voice.
One, the 256.
A 256 kilobits per second.
With that? I got that. 256.
Yeah, well, that's one form of a WAV file you could send as a voice, or 192 kilobits a second, or whatever. You can. This is what I teach, and you can find out about. What else did we cover today? Well, apart from the sound and the writing, it's also listening to the best that you hear. So when you're working on your jewellery in your room, you have the radio on, I guess.
Sometimes.
Well, you should do, yeah.
If I'm not concentrating.
Yes, well, of course.
Because if I'm concentrating, I can't listen.
Yes.
But when I'm doing something I really know, then I'm always
I'm sure.
listening to the radio.
You've got to listen to the radio to hear how people say things, and listen to your local commercial station to hear how adverts are worked. Listen to BBC Radio 4 for probably the definitive way of reading stories and hearing plays. You'll get lots of ideas about how to use a microphone from just listening to the Archers or some radio play. Their microphone technique, whether they're too close to it or whether they're too far away from it, and all those other techniques. This is all part of being a voiceover. You just can't do voiceovers anymore. You've got to know how to take someone's script and rework it. What has been the hardest thing for you on this little old course for 2 days?
The adverts.
Really?
Really?
Yeah, interesting.
Really, I find them really hard.
Yeah.
Enjoy doing them, but I really had to work far harder on those ones than the Titanic or the other ones I brought.
Yeah. We did some Jonathan Livingston Steagall, which is a nice book, and that was a nice passage you read from. It gives anyone. This is all to record and to go through to practice. So along with that, we've got a sound demo tape that people can listen to and ascertain whether they want to use your voice for that kind of application. Or we also did some jingles.
Yes.
You did some jingles for my Smooth Jazz show, which will be on Veronica's demo. And we did some for Radio 2. So the people listening can hear you in scenario. Go on, give me a Radio 2. BBC Radio 2 with Steve Wright in the afternoon.
BBC Radio 2 with Steve Wright in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Is that all right?
That was very good.
Oh, was it? Oh, good.
And this is the ITN News with Julia Etchingham and Mary Nightingale. Go on, give me that.
Can't remember. What did you say?
This is the ITN Evening News with Julia Etchingham and what's her name?
Oh, I've forgotten the first bit now.
And Kay Burley. Yeah. Forget it. You did that very well. But no, just give me. This is the ITV Evening News.
This is the ITV Evening News.
With Julia Etchingham.
With Julia Etchingham and Mary Nightingale.
That's the one. I like Mary Nightingale. And yeah, that was great.
Thank you.
The fact that it's unfair of me to even ask you to do that. But if you got it wrong, we wouldn't be able to show the video. But you didn't get it wrong. It's great. And it's an unreal situation. I've asked you to do all these things today, and then do you want to come and do this afterwards?
Well, in for a penny, in for a pound, eh?
Well, I think that's got to be. So we talked about
fun.
how
It's
to
good
market,
fun.
didn't we?
Oh, yes.
How to market, probably what you might charge from the position if you're a beginner from where you are. And people often will be seeking your advice too about their sound, and it's important that you need to know all those things.
Yeah, and also the equipment that is needed, and
Yeah.
because that had worried me hugely before I came, because I thought it's just going to cost thousands, but you've minimised the whole thing and
Yeah.
made it so that it is
Decent pair of headphones,
Yeah.
decent mic, mic stand. Of course, we talked about acoustics, where to best record something. Not necessarily in a hard room like I am, but in a bedroom. Sometimes talking into a pillow, where it's soft. My bedroom is soft furnishings everywhere, unlike a hard room. Where if you were in Greece or Spain or in Germany, they've got hard rooms, lots of wood. It's all early reflective sound, which gives you that sort of boomy bathroom sound, which is just no good. We want a soft sound. And we achieved lots of different things with your demo. But anyhow, we went through a lot. And I just thought we'd sort of round off our course this week with talking to Vernoica, seeing what she got out of it and the rest of it. So from jewellery making to this, it's going to be interesting. So all you've got to do now is get that microphone.
Yeah.
I think it's a road podcast.
Yeah.
Plug it in and experiment with sound.
That's what I'm really looking forward to. I'm really looking forward to having fun and editing and learning how to do the editing. Because when I first saw it, I thought, I'm just not going to be able to do it. But now I'm really just looking forward. I'm not frightened by it.
You've got a great voice, but the voice isn't just the only thing. But you do have a great husky meets soft sound, which I think is very in sound, and has been for a little while now.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. It's been a pleasure. I'm Rod Lucas. Join me again for another voiceover courses demo where I meet. There's no editing going on here. Meet someone who's come to see me, and we talk about my courses. Would you recommend this course?
Oh yes, I'd come again.
Yes. Well, come again next week.
Yeah.
And she's a vegetarian. And Super Angie, who's filming as well, made some super vegetarian food.
Delicious food. You see, you can't get anything better. Brilliant course, brilliant food, brilliant company. There we are.
Yes. So it's goodbye from me.
And me. I'm not going to say goodbye from him.
No, don't. Sport.
Yeah.
See you next time. Yeah, good. Well done. Thank you. Thanks for doing that. That's nice. Yeah, well,